Hello everyone, and welcome to Call Sign Charlie Models, or welcome back to Call Sign Charlie Models for part 6 of the Italeri 132nd Panavia Tornado. This is the IDS kit, by I have converted it to a Gr.1. So getting right along on part 5, we got done with all the paint and everything, and now we are moving on to decals. And this morning I started off with the decals, got some of them done, and I have a few gripes to do with our decals already. So as you can see right here, just moving right along, we got the tail flash done, and then the Snoopy Airways right there, and then a couple pieces right along in here. And then on the reverse side, same thing with the tail designator, the hull code, and then also the nose art on this side right here. Now, my gripes with these decals so far. I am using the Kits World Warbirds decals. Alright, so with these decals, they felt super thick when I was rubbing my finger over the decals, right? But they are super thin. Alright, I didn't have to have them in the water. I mean, I literally dip them in the water for like 3 or 4 seconds, and then they'd be ready to go. The other issue with this is when you pull it off the paper, if you slide it off the paper, it is stuck in position. It takes a lot to get the decal to be able to move again once it is on the model. And the other thing is, they are so thin that they will fold super quick. I lost one decal that's supposed to be back here because when I was trying to move it, I stuck my finger to it, a wet finger on top of that, to kind of push it into position, and it folded over my finger, and then when I pulled my finger back, the decal folded back onto itself in 3 different places. So that decal was absolute lost. The other issue I had with this was, as you see, I am doing Nikki or Nora Batty right here on this decal scheme. Alright, so here's my issue. Right here it has the N as the tail designator, right? And the decals did come with a N, just one, a singular N on here. And as you can see, there's one on both sides of the tail. So what I did is, it's kind of a Dilligaff moment, or you know, I like it, but it's gonna bug me. I know this is gonna bug me in the future, but I wanted to have something on the back end, and the decals did come with multiple, like for the EA code, which is another one that folded on me when I was trying to apply it. But the GK ones, actually I was lucky enough to get those put onto the fuselage without any issues. So if you're gonna use these Kit World decals, be very careful when you are applying them. They are super thin. Once you put them on, they are stuck in position. It takes a lot to get them to move after you do it, because the Snoopy Airways one I did is a little bit crooked, and I tried to move it around a little bit and it wouldn't move. And then with the experience I had with the previous decals, I decided, you know what, it's 1/2 millimeter off. It's probably more like 1.5 millimeters to 2 millimeters off. I'm not gonna mess with it anymore because I'm not gonna lose that decal. The other thing is, so far it's looking pretty good. Like I said, they are really thin, so they go into everything really nicely. I do have a little bit of air bubble and stuff to go into and recarve those out, so that way it falls into the seam lines or the panel lines, but that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Then on the underside, I only have one decal on here so far, and that one is pretty set and ready to go. But as you see, these are going to be a lot of work. And then also I noticed with doing some reference photos that these guys didn't have a lot of stencils on them, because I think they were all painted over with the haste of how they painted over these in the desert pink. So I do have this decal sheet from Eura Decals for some of the stencils. Again, we're not going to use a lot of them. I'm thinking mainly on the pylons going on, and a few of the ones that are on the fuselage. But after looking at some pictures, there's not a lot of stencils on there from what I can see. So that's where we're standing with this. These decals, from what I've used so far, not really a huge issue. I'm not seeing any problems, but also from looking at some of the reference photos, I've also noticed a couple areas that I do need to hit up. I'm thinking I might just leave it be, but we'll have to see on how I'm feeling later on. But that's where we're going. I'm gonna finish some more of these stencil decals right here, and then we start working on the ordnance and the landing gear and all that. So we still have a good amount of stuff to do on the decals. Also, with this decal right here, the fragile area keep off right here, it's supposed to go right here. That is nowhere near the same shape that is supposed to be. So I don't know how. I might be cutting that off right along the letters and getting that in, but we'll have to see. That's where we're standing on that. Again, the decaling portion of this kit is starting to become a nightmare. I'm hoping that the nightmare ends very soon, because I really want to get this done and then start with weathering. So I'm going to get off here. I'll be back in a second, and we will start doing the decals on the remainder of the fuselage and keep on trucking along. So I'll see you in a second. Alright, we're back with the Tornado, and guess what? All of the decals are now done. On the aircraft, on all the ordnance, on the landing gear, everything. All the landing gear is ready to go. So a little debrief about the decals. Alright, so starting off with the actual aircraft decals, use the Kits World Warbirds decals. Now, here's the thing about these decals. On this aircraft, on this set, the decals were absolute trash. These are probably some of the worst decals I've ever used. Trying to get them to fit, very, very thin, stretchy. I've used multiple sets of microsol, and they are very thin, but with them being that thin, they were very stretchy and very hard to get into place, and they wouldn't even go into the panel lines without tearing. Even like when I run my hobby knife across in the panel line like I typically do, right? So I got that done, and then when I did you can see it kind of tear up right there with that. So again, gorgeous, phenomenal decals. I hope you guys can sense the sarcasm in my voice on that, because this is absolute, I mean, this was an absolute nightmare with this, and still is, and I'm hoping, I mean, I'm just gonna have to say it's as good as I can get it, even after all the sets and rolling it out and doing all the tricks I have to get some wrinkles out of here. I still have wrinkles in every time. I would get it all smoothed out, and then without even doing anything, it would wrinkle back up. So again, these Warbird Kits World decals for this kit were absolute trash. Now, on the contrary, I used Kits World decals for my P47, and if I remember correctly, I didn't have any issues with those decals. So I don't know if it's just this set or if the P47 set was a good set of decals. The other issue with Kits World decals is, as you see right here, and I mentioned this earlier, is that it has the N for the tail marker right here on this aircraft, and on the decals it only has, or in the decal sheet, it only had one side. It didn't have both sides. So with that, it's gonna bug me, but it would bug me worse if one side had it and the other side didn't. So I put a different tail coat on it, just so I have something on there to just have on. So I know it's gonna bug me. It might bug some other people, but it looks the part for now. All right, the rest of the decals, like the markings, all that, They went on all right. And then for the stencils, I used the Euro Decals sheet right here, and those went down pretty nice. Didn't have many issues with those, but again, I really didn't use a lot of them on this aircraft. Maybe a few of the nose step areas right in here, and a few of the other marks like on the fuel points right here, or some other important points that would have been repainted on. So again, for the most part, decaling of this kit has been an absolute nightmare. I've not had fun with decaling on this, which typically I have fun decaling. The other things I got decaled, one second while I put the Tornado up. Start off with the landing gear. Again, these are the 3D printed landing gear, and these look really nice. And then for the struts, I used the Ennie's chrome stripes decals, and then the placards for the actual landing gear struts came with the kit. So those are looking very nice all around. And then even in the landing gear light area, I put a chrome decal in there, and it should look alright when the clear part is over top of it. And again, use the chrome stripe decals for the strut right here. And then for the canopy support, again, I used the chrome decal for this part right here, and then I used a red stripe decal going around. I had it painted, but the lines were just, some were really nice and thick, and then others were really narrow. So I went ahead and I used the decal stripe to get that all done. Now for the ordnance, using Edward decals, again, these are looking really nice on here. I'm hoping that when I get the clear coat on all that and then blend it in, kind of have a little bit of the silvering right here with the carrier film, but I'm thinking I should be able to take care of that with all the weathering that's going to go on. And then the underside, these were very easy to decal, only 4 decals per one. And then we have the underside of the fuel tanks right here, decaled using the Euro decals for the stencils on that. Then the Edward stencil or decals for this guy right here. This is the Edward ECM pod right here. And then lastly, for extra parts, we have the EBOS right here using the Edward decals for this. All those went down very nicely and easy to go. So up next, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to hit everything that got a decal on it with a gloss coat to protect all of these decals, get those sealed in. I'm going to let them dry overnight because of all the Solvaset that I've put on everything. But I'm going to let everything dry overnight, and then tomorrow I'm going to hit everything up with a gloss coat. Then I'm going to let that dry overnight. And then after that, we can start with the panel liner using the Flory Models wash for that. And then we'll probably also use a little bit of the Tamiya panel line accent stuff for a few of the areas. And then after that's done, we'll put another, this one will be a semi-matte coat on that one. And then we'll start with our oils and our enamels, getting all that weathering done. Then after that weathering's done, we can start with final assembly. So we're getting there. It's getting close. The light is almost visible at the end of the tunnel. And so I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to let everything dry overnight. Tomorrow, hit it with the clear coat. And then when I start hitting it with the panel liner, I'll be back to show you how I take care of that. So I'll be back in 1 second. Alright, and we're back. I got the Tornado all with the gloss coat and everything, so that is all ready to go. And now it is time for our panel line wash. And what I'm going to be doing and using is the Flory Models Dark Dirt Wash. Now this bottle is getting close to out, but I have a backup bottle right here, even though this stuff does go a very long way. I've had this bottle for I think a year and a half, 2 years. I literally use this on every model I do. So that's how long this stuff lasts. And really it is super easy to do. All you do is you grab a brush, and that is not the right brush. Again. Here we go. What we're going to do is grab the brush, dip it in here.